Hello everyone, welcome to Lexified. In today's lecture, we are dealing with Article 300 of the Constitution of India, and we will be discussing the government's legal capacity to sue or be sued. किसी के अगेंस्ट सूट फाइल करने का मतलब होता है किसी के अगेंस्ट कोई केस फाइल करना। तो गवर्नमेंट की क्या लीगल कैपेसिटी है जिसके तहत वो किसी और के अगेंस्ट कोई केस फाइल कर सकती है इन द कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ, या फिर कोई और एंटिटी गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट सूट फाइल कर सकती है, कोई केस फाइल कर सकती है उन्हें कोर्ट में ले जाके। तो इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल आर्टिकल। इसके साथ साथ वी विल ऑल्सो इंक्लूड द वाइकेरियस लाइबिलिटी ऑफ द स्टेट, the sovereign immunity, the doctrine of sovereign immunity, and relevant case laws to support you in answer writing for your university exams. So let's begin with the Bare Act reading. Article 300, Suits and Proceedings. So Article 300 Clause 1 states that the Government of India may sue or be sued by the name of Union of India, and the Government of a state may sue or be sued by the name of a state. So plain reading से हमें साफ साफ समझ में आ रहा है कि गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को अगर किसी के अगेंस्ट केस फाइल करना है, या फिर किसी को गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट है उसके अगेंस्ट केस फाइल करना है, तो उसमें एक पार्टी ईदर प्लेंटिफ और डिफेंडेंट कौन बनेगा? यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया, इस नाम से वो केस फाइल होगा। सिमिलरली अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को प्लेंटिफ या डिफेंडेंट बनना है तो किस नाम से वो केस फाइल होगा? इट विल बी फाइल्ड बाय द नेम ऑफ द पर्टिकुलर स्टेट। इसका क्लियर एग्जाम्पल हम लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स में से देख लेते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, नालसा वर्सेज यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया. This was a landmark Supreme Court judgment where the third gender, transgender, was recognized as the third gender by the Supreme Court. So यहाँ पे one of the parties was Union of India. Another landmark case is Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala. Here, the party to this particular case was State of Kerala. Therefore, केरला की गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट ये सूट फाइल किया गया था, ये केस फाइल किया गया था, राइट। वेरी सिंपल प्रोविजन, किस नाम से हम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के अगेंस्ट कोई भी केस फाइल कर सकते हैं। पर्पस क्या है आर्टिकल 300 क्लॉज 1 का? सो बेसिकली आर्टिकल 300 क्लॉज 1 recognizes the legal personality of state and union for litigation purposes. So it considers the state as well as the union government to be juristic persons, right? ये वर्ड याद रखना, juristic persons की तरह the government is treated. The government can initiate or defend legal proceedings akin to a private person. So जैसे कि दो private individuals कोई भी केस फाइल कर सकते हैं कोर्ट में whenever there is a dispute, then similar to that the government can initiate or defend any legal proceeding similarly to a private person, right? This article reflects the principle of rule of law and state accountability. So rule of law is a very इंपॉर्टेंट प्रिंसिपल जो इंग्लिश लॉ से डिराइव हुआ है। ए.वी. डाइसी ने रूल ऑफ लॉ के हमें पॉस्टुलेट्स दिए थे, 3 मेन प्रिंसिपल्स दिए थे, विच इज सुप्रीमेसी ऑफ लॉ, इक्वालिटी बिफोर द लॉ, एंड द प्री डोमिनेंस ऑफ लीगल स्पिरिट। इफ यू वांट अ डिटेल्ड वीडियो ऑन रूल ऑफ लॉ, then please comment down in the comment section below. But for the brief introduction of it, rule of law basically means that the law should be the supreme authority and no one, not even the government, is above the law. So this means that everyone is subject to the legal system and no one can act arbitrarily without a legal justification. So state को accountable ठहराता है ये rule of law का principle कि the state cannot act arbitrarily without a legal justification. So it ensures that everyone, regardless of their status or position, is treated equally under the law. Now, Article 300 Clause 2 क्या कहता है? So, Article 300 and Clause 2 states that at the commencement of the Constitution, if there is any legal proceeding which is pending to which the Dominion of India is a party, then the Union of India shall be deemed to be substituted for the Dominion in those proceedings. And similarly, subclause B बोलता है इसका कि any legal proceeding which are pending in which a province or an Indian state is a party, then the corresponding state, this is state, shall be deemed to be substituted for the province or the Indian state in those proceedings. तो basically before the commencement अगर कोई भी legal proceeding pending है डोमिनियन ऑफ इंडिया के नाम से, किसी प्रोविंस के नाम से, या फिर किसी इंडियन स्टेट के नाम से, तो उसको रिप्लेस करके यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया और वो पर्टिकुलर स्टेट जहाँ पे वो प्रोविंस है या फिर कोई भी इंडियन स्टेट जो चेंज्ड नेम है उसका, it will consider to be substituted. It will be deemed to be substituted for that particular province or Indian state, right? Very simple, very clear. Now, origin of Article 300. Article 300 of the Constitution is based on Section 176 of the Government of India Act. As we know that our Constitution is called the bag of borrowings, and it is derived from several sources, be it the US Constitution or the Irish Constitution, and for that matter, even the Government of India Act 1935. So it also is a major source from which many of our sections or articles are derived. So Section 176 से डिराइव होके हमने आर्टिकल 300 अपना प्रेजेंट डे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में बनाया है. So this ensures the continuity of liability for the acts of the government. As we discussed earlier in the concept of rule of law, it holds the government accountable for its actions. Now liability for torts. अब गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट अगर केस फाइल हो रहा है तो गवर्नमेंट की कोई ना कोई लाइबिलिटी तो बनती होगी. केस फाइल हो जाता है अगर तो कोई ना कोई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती होगी जिस वजह से वो केस फाइल हो रहा है. तो लाइबिलिटी फॉर टॉर्ट्स क्या क्या है गवर्नमेंट की. So initially when we had the East India Company ruling us, it was just a trading body, but it later became a sovereign authority. We all know that after the Battle of Buxar, the Diwani rights were given to the East India Company, and eventually they started interfering in the internal matters, the internal affairs of the country, and they gained certain sovereign authority. So जो भी कंपनी अपने ट्रेडिंग एक्ट्स में जो भी ट्रेडिंग एक्टिविटीज होती थी इनकी, उसमें जो भी इनकी डीलिंग्स होती थी, द कंपनी वॉज सुएबल, मतलब उनके अगेंस्ट उन पर्टिकुलर एक्टिविटीज के लिए केस फाइल करा जा सकता था. बट दे वर इम्यून फॉर देयर सॉवरेन एक्ट्स. जो भी वो सॉवरेन एक्टिविटीज करते थे उसके लिए केस फाइल नहीं किया जा सकता था, इवन इफ दोज एक्ट्स आर आर्बिट्री एंड अगेंस्ट एनी लीगल जस्टिफिकेशन और रीजनिंग. दिस वॉज बिकॉज ऑफ एन इंग्लिश लॉ मैक्सिम which reads as res non potest pecere. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it wrong or right. I am not sure, but this is a legal maxim, a Latin legal maxim, which means that the king can do no wrong. Right? The king cannot do no wrong. Therefore, इस maxim के तहत sovereign activities को immunity मिल जाती थी from any legal action. In Britain, this crown immunity was removed by the Crown Proceedings Act of 1947. तो 1947 में ही ये sovereign immunity को remove कर दिया गया था in Britain, but India में even after 1947 this continued. Vicarious liability of state. तो what is vicarious liability? Vicarious liability होती है कि काम कोई और करेगा, wrong doing कोई और करेगा और liable कोई और होगा. Right, somebody else will be liable, somebody else will be vicariously liable for that activity, for that wrongdoing. So vicarious liability of the state refers to the legal principle where the government or its officials are held liable for the wrongful acts that are committed by the public servants during their duties, in the course of their duties. So this liability depends on function and nature of the duty that is being performed by the public servant. So public servant can either be performing a sovereign function or a non-sovereign function. Now we will discuss what are sovereign and non-sovereign functions, but the main deal here is that this distinction between sovereign and non-sovereign function was created in the landmark case of P&O Steam Navigation Company, which is a case of 1861. 1861 में ये distinction create कर दिया गया था कि sovereign functions क्या होते हैं और non-sovereign functions क्या होते हैं. And as we discussed in the earlier slide as well, the king can do no wrong. रेस नॉन पोटेस्ट पिकेरे, इस प्रिंसिपल के थ्रू सॉवरेन फंक्शंस में इम्यूनिटी दी जाती है स्टेट को और सॉवरेन को. ठीक है. सो दिस डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन सॉवरेन एंड नॉन सॉवरेन फंक्शन एंड द फैक्ट दैट फॉर सॉवरेन फंक्शंस द स्टेट विल नॉट बी हेल्ड लायबल, दिस वाज रीअफर्म्ड इन द कस्तूरीलाल केस ऑफ 1965. नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस दीज केसेस, व्हाट दे वर. First, what are sovereign functions? Now, sovereign functions are those functions which are performed exclusively by the sovereign. They are essential for state functioning. Sovereign के functions हैं ये. They are performed exclusively by the sovereign. कोई और private entity इन functions को perform नहीं कर सकती है, and they are super essential for the functioning of the state. इनके बिना state की functioning भी नहीं हो सकती, किसी country की functioning possible नहीं है. For example, the functions of defense, law enforcement, taxation, military and police actions in national security, all these functions are sovereign functions of a state. So ऐसे functions perform करते टाइप पे the state is immune from liability for acts under these function. State को immunity provide करी जाती है. Doctrine of sovereign immunity यहाँ पे लगता है कि whenever a state is performing sovereign functions, it will be immune to any liability for any torts that is being committed while the performance of those. तो this cases of कस्तूरी लाल versus state of उत्तर प्रदेश. Brief facts, इसमें ये हुआ था कि the police कस्तूरी लाल से इन्होंने सीज कर लिया था गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर, and later this gold, it was misappropriated by the police officials, by the police constable. Now Kasturi Lal approached the court and he made state of Uttar Pradesh as the party. He filed a case against state of Uttar Pradesh, and it was held that the state is not liable for the action as it was a sovereign function. Search and seizure का जो function है, it is a sovereign function, therefore it is essential for the running of the state. It is essential for maintenance of law and order. Therefore, the state was not held liable in this particular case. So now, what are non-sovereign functions? Non-sovereign functions are the ones that can be performed by non-sovereign people. Non-sovereign people means non-governmental functions. ठीक है? These are the functions जो जरूरी नहीं है कि गवर्नमेंट ही करेगी, कोई प्राइवेट एंटिटी भी इन फंक्शंस को परफॉर्म कर सकती है. So these are basically commercial, welfare or administrative activities which can also be done by private entities. तो गवर्नमेंट भी कर सकती है और प्राइवेट एंटिटीज भी इन फंक्शंस को परफॉर्म कर सकती है. So when the state is performing a non-sovereign function, then the state will be held vicariously liable for the wrongful acts in these functions. ऐसे फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करते टाइम पे the state will always be held vicariously liable. तो एग्जाम्पल्स क्या होते हैं नॉन सॉवरेन फंक्शंस के, जैसे ट्रांसपोर्ट, running and maintenance of hospitals, educational institutions, maintaining public utilities like water supply, electricity, all these performed by private entities as well. Therefore, they are non-governmental, non-sovereign functions, and whenever a state is performing these, it will be held vicariously liable for all the wrongful acts. Relevant case law of non-sovereign functions में हम लिख सकते हैं स्टेट ऑफ राजस्थान वर्सेस विद्यावती का केस. इट्स अ वेरी फेमस केस which you must have also read in taught. In this case, basically what happened was that a government jeep was driven negligently and it killed a pedestrian. So a government jeep was being driven by a driver जो कि government का ही appointed driver था, and while doing this function, a pedestrian was negligently killed. Now, since driving a jeep is not a sovereign function, it is a non-governmental function. It can be performed by anybody. So, therefore, in this particular case, the state was held liable because maintenance of vehicle is a non-sovereign function. Significance क्या है इस केस का कि it is the first major post-constitutional judgment affirming state liability in tort. So first major post-constitutional judgment था जहाँ पे state liability को affirm किया गया था, state को liable बनाया गया था. तो state liability यहाँ पे पढ़ना जरूरी इसलिए ही हो जाता है because आप state के अगेंस्ट केस तो कर दोगे, बट उसके लिए बेसिस भी होना चाहिए, स्टेट लाइबल है कि नहीं लाइबल है, उसी बेसिस पे तो आप केस करोगे. एनीवेज, की डिफरेंसेस बिटवीन सॉवरेन एंड नॉन सॉवरेन फंक्शंस क्या होता है, यू कैन रीड इट फ्रॉम हियर. ऑल द थिंग्स दैट आई हैव एक्सप्लेन्ड अर्लियर आर मेंशन्ड इन अ टैबुलर फॉर्म. नाउ नैरोइंग द स्कोप ऑफ सॉवरेन इम्यूनिटी. द डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ सॉवरेन इम्यूनिटी जैसा हमने देखा ब्रिटेन में 1947 में ही हट गया था ये डॉक्ट्रिन, बट इन इंडिया इट कंटिन्यूड फॉर सो लॉन्ग. बट लैंडमार्क केसेस के थ्रू धीरे धीरे सॉवरेन इम्यूनिटी को पहले वीकन करा गया और उसके बाद अल्टीमेटली इसको रिमूव कर दिया गया, ओवर रूल कर दिया गया था. सो द फर्स्ट केस वी सी हियर इज नागेंद्र राव एंड को वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ आंध्र प्रदेश. 1994 का ये केस है. इसमें द गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर मिसहैंडल कॉन्फिस्केटेड गुड्स. Basically, what was held is important. The Supreme Court criticized that the doctrine of sovereign immunity of a state and adopted a liberal approach. In this case, they adopted a liberal approach and they criticized the doctrine of sovereign immunity. It was held that sovereign and non-sovereign distinction was not sound. Any watertight compartmentalization of functions as sovereign or non-sovereign, governmental or non-governmental is not sound. It's not good. Therefore, it was diluted. The distinction was diluted. The court noted that a modern welfare state, immunity should be limited. In a modern welfare state, this immunity, the sovereign immunity should be limited. But one thing that you need to make sure is that in the case of Nagendra Rao and company versus state of Andhra Pradesh, Kasturi Lal case was not overruled. The court said that the Kasturi Lal judgment is applicable only in rare cases, right? The Kasturi Lal judgment was applicable in rare cases. Then comes another case of Common Cause versus Union of India. 1999 का ये case है. Here a PIL was filed for misuse of a public office. So what was held? that the Supreme Court examined the whole doctrine and rejected the sovereign immunity rule. The court held that the rule of state liability as laid down in the P&O Steam Navigation Company case is very outmoded. It is very old. And it said that in modern times, the state activities have been considerably increased and it is very difficult to draw a line between sovereign and non-sovereign functions. The state activities are considerably increased. The state is involved in so many functions that it is very difficult to make a clear demarcation, to make a watertight compartmentalization as we discussed in the earlier case. Therefore, because of this increase in state activities, there is a deep impression, a deep impact on all facets of the lives of citizens. The liability of the state must be made coextensive with the modern concept of welfare state. So, ये कैसे होगा? The principle of constitutional tort was recognized in this particular case. Compensation for violation of fundamental rights by state actors was given. State was held liable even under constitutional power if it acted negligently. So, this was another important case. So, as we read earlier, compensation for the violation of fundamental rights by state actors was declared in that particular case of Common Cause versus Union of India. Right. So now as we read that in the case of Common Cause versus Union of India, the court declared that in case of violation of fundamental rights, the state actors should pay compensation to the victims. So here is a list of case laws, 3 landmark cases where this compensation was given. The government was held liable for violation of fundamental rights. First case is of state of Andhra Pradesh versus Challa Ramakrishna Reddy. It is also called the prisoner's murder case. Here the Supreme Court held that in the process of judicial advancement, Kasturi Lal's case has paled into insignificance and no longer of any binding value. So this was the particular case, Challa Ramakrishna Reddy case, where Kasturi Lal case was overruled. The Supreme Court also held that sovereign immunity cannot defend violations of fundamental rights and the government and police was liable for compensation. You can read the facts of this case. Basically, due to the negligence of the police, a prisoner died in this particular case. Therefore, compensation was made because there was violation of fundamental right involved. Another case we have of Rudal Shah versus State of Bihar. Here the petitioner was detained for 14 years after acquittal. We can clearly see it is a violation of their fundamental rights. Therefore, compensation was granted by the court. Then another Bhim Singh versus State of Jammu Kashmir. MLA was illegally arrested and prevented from attending assembly. So violation of fundamental right again. Therefore compensation was awarded for violation of Article 21, right to life and personal liberty of the particular person, of the victim. Therefore we see that how state can be held liable for its actions and also the relevance of Article 300, the legal capacity, suits by or against the government in this particular scenario. So this was it. Hope you like the video. Like, share and subscribe.